you stick that under your chair.
Ah, thank you.
Might be easier.
Yeah. So where do you want the preacher to be?
I'm not sure which one Polly wants. I would imagine he probably is going to put you and the preacher there, and he'll have the white one because he'll be up most of the time.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll go here because I'll be getting up. Where are the
The diplomas are going to be set here,
So why does
and I think Val's going to bring them to you. I think Val's going to hand you the diploma. Yes, because then they'll come past you, ring the bell, and sign it. So the girls will do it. Yes, and she'll step out.
I should be here to shake on the right hand and give the closure.
This is one time. Oh.
And I'm going to ask Shannon if she wants to come up or not.
Okay, so I've got them behind the scenes.
Oh. Okay.
So she'll walk forward to receive it, either up here or down.
Okay.
But then, just so you're not looking for yours.
Okay. Because I need it. Alright. And then I've got a little folder for that. Are they going to be there? On the back?
Yes.
But I've got a folder.
They set it on her chair.
Detrius in here. I gave her some copies of it. Yeah, that's great. Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm with you now.
We'll get through. And if we need to readjust after the first one, it's okay.
All right.
but found something deeper than any win. It was self-respect. At your old school's, phones rang everywhere. Distraction filled every moment. But here you proudly shared that St. Margaret's, you had to look up. You had to look in the eyes of others. And in doing so, you also looked inward. You learned how to carry yourself with calm confidence, not flashy, just consistent, kind, loyal, and true. Your horizon is to work in helping children grow, because you know what it's like to need somebody steady. Your dream isn't fame, it's family. To rewind time, you said, just to laugh with your sisters again and again, to hold in life what matters to me. Maya, you reminded us that growth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it simply keeps going on and on. And we are so proud you kept going with grace, with courage, and with a big heart. Maya, we wish you well in the playgrounds that you will build in form, function, and spirit. Best of luck.
Kelasan, Cassandra, Samantha, Dudu.
That honesty made others uncomfortable. As a New Yorker, I know what you mean. Those New York edges, sharp, perceptive, forged in subway silence and city resilience, were misunderstood in here in Happy Tappy. But it wasn't standoffish. You were holding yourself together, one act of self-respect at a time. Kelasan, you said to me that you don't tolerate nonsense. You like to read the room before walking into it. Oh, you'll laugh, but only if it's genuinely funny. You will love, but only if they're real. And when she found friends like Max and Vera, people who truly saw you, that was when you started to let your guard down just enough. And in that space, you found peace at St. Margaret's School. You grew not by changing, but by accepting who you are. You no longer lean on others for validation. Seeing you make that trek from McEwen in front of B House, as I did almost every day, I see a walk with your shoulders back, knowing who you are, approval or not. You shared that you don't like how high school can splinter into cliques and categories. Too many boxes, you said. Too many people choosing friends based on hair products. No, for Kelasan, it was about craving substance. You didn't think I'd share that. Real stories, real connections, and because of that, the friendships you made are friendships that will last. Your favorite place on campus your story reminds us that strength doesn't shout, it shows up. In honesty, in presence, in purpose. You didn't blend in, you stood firm, and we here at St. Margaret's were the better for it. We can't wait to see what you build next, and should my eyes gaze again upon the New York skyline, it will draw a memory of a girl who stood on the banks of the Rappahannock River this year, and in the year of our Lord, 2025. God bless you and best of luck. Good night.
Mileshka Delgado.
Puerto Rico. Did I get it? All right. Forgive my Kentucky accent. I've got Kentucky in me too, as you'll soon find out. Come a little closer here, sister. All right. At least because some students bloom slowly, others arrive with a quiet fire. You came to St. Margaret's in your senior year not for show, but with purpose. No illusions, no need for filters. You came to work, to grow, and to win. Born and raised in Puerto Rico, you had spent your entire life in one rhythm until your team disbanded and the familiar to you vanished. Your brother, already chasing basketball dreams in the United States, proved the path was possible. Now it was your turn. You came here not through a recruiting pitch or promise. You came here because it felt right. Your mother believed in it. And here you were, quiet, focused, was ready to start again. It wasn't easy. Language was a barrier. You understood more than you could say. Some mistook your focus for distance, but you weren't cold, you were intentional. You weren't here to impress, like many in this class. You were here to build, and build you did. In the classroom, especially in AP biology, you pushed yourself to new levels. You didn't just want to study science, you wanted to be in it, with the future wants of practicing medicine. Your big dream is to become a cardiologist, because the heart, you said, fascinates you, and it makes sense. Her own heart was weathered, and it has weathered storms, and I mean literal storms. You lived through Hurricane Maria, huddled in your home as roofs flew and trees fell. No power or water for months, no school. You learned through survival and found resilience. On the field and court, you gave your all, even when your role was uncertain. But you kept going. You played field hockey, tennis, and soccer. You learned new sports just to stay active. You were never loud in the huddle, but your grit spoke volumes. You found new friends in Max, Tara, and Irati, and joy in simple moments, tubing on the river, laughing until breathless, games in McEwen, walks to the beach. The beach became your space, not for beauty, but for solitude, to think, to dream. And you dreamed of more, of independence, of a Mustang car, of scholarships earned, of colleges like St. Joseph's in Brooklyn, your top choice. You don't chase fame, you seek fulfillment, a medical degree, life of impact, to breathe easier, to help others live stronger, to honor the sacrifices of your family, especially your mother, your anchor, and your wind. You taught us that quiet strength is still strength, that excellence doesn't need applause. We will miss your grit, your mind, your loyalty. Go forward, dear girl, heart first.
Milicia Mijatovic.
Quietly, others center with confidence. Quietly, others center with confidence. And then there's Mickey, who arrived unsure, wide-eyed, and brave. And in just 1 year, you transformed not only yourself, but the culture around you. You hail from Belgrade, Serbia, with dreams bigger than even the Danube could carry. Dreams of basketball, America, or something more. At first, you thought it would be easy. As you told me, I thought everything would be on a silver plate for me here. But it wasn't. And then you said, and I'm glad for that. She didn't come through a scout or a recruiter, but through a friend, Tara. Thank you, Tara. Wave to us. Okay. And that one call became a flight. We saw it on the court. We saw it in the dorms. We saw it on the court. We saw it in the dorms. We saw it in the quiet grace of your growth here. And for those of us in the gym during that state championship, we felt it. The tension, the magic. Live and feel better. Maybe even convince some Americans to stop skipping breakfast and eating the sweets. Your faith rooted in Serbian Orthodox tradition anchors you hard and fast. Do what's right, avoid that which is wrong. You celebrate your family's Saint Day and dream of raising kids near grandparents in Belgrade. While still working and growing here in the United States, these dreams, Mickey, I can say to you, are easily realized for you. You are a bridge between cultures, a connector of past and present. You want to hold on to where you're from while reaching for all you can become. Ask Mickey what she thinks about when she's alone, and she'll say, my future. Not with fear, but with determination. And that future will most likely include a Boston Terrier, unfortunately. As you and my wife share an affection for what I will call the strangest breed of dog I've ever seen. One that I deem looks the same coming and going. Mickey, in one short year, you gave us belief, you gave us joy, and a state championship. You reminded us what growth looks like. Your story is just beginning. Go live it fully. You already are. And you're only 2 hours away next year, right? That a girl. Best of luck. Ring it. Ring that bell.
Teodora Petrovich.
Tio, there are journeys and then there are odysseys. And for you, Tio, it began with a passport in one hand and a dream in the other. Leaving behind a Serbian village most of us will never visit, but one that shaped you in rare strength. And the kind of you stepped into the unknown and you didn't flinch. When you arrived, your room was bare, just your suitcase and that flag.
To my parents, they couldn't be here today, and they're watching this right. To my parents, they couldn't be here today, and they're watching this right now live. So I'm gonna say it in Serbian, and yeah, nobody gonna understand, but I just wanna say. Mama, tata, hvala vam na svemu. Ništa od ovoga ne bi bilo, ništa od ovoga ne bi bilo da vas nije bilo. Hvala vam na podršci i hvala vam na tome što se moj san ostvario. Na podršci i hvala vam na tome što se moj san ostvario konačno. If anyone cares what I'm saying, I just thank my parents for everything, and thank you all. Thanks.
Now, as she rings the bell, I will share with you that I had told the seniors that I would offer the mic to them, which I failed to do in my own nervousness here, but I'm not nervous anymore. So, you could.
Ariana Sofia Jimenez Ulloa.
Hang on a second.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Do over.
It's not that my son ever listens to me.
I also wanted to thank my parents real quick in Serbian because they don't understand English at all. So, želim da zahvalim mojoj sestri, mami, tati i svima koji su bili uz mene i koji su mi zapravo dozvolili i dali mogućnost da proživim sve ovo. Hvala na svima i odužit ću se jednog dana kako znam i umem. Hvala. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna thank my mom that is here, and it's gonna be in Spanish, so half of y'all understand. Gracias, mami, por todo. Sin tu apoyo no estaría aquí. Thank you.
Now, Ariana Sofia Jimenez Ulloa.
At St. Margaret's, everything changed. No stadiums, no contracts, no daily training. You expected a familiar Ecuadorian rhythm, and you found another. And it broke your heart at first. But like any great midfielder, you adapted. You held the center. You learned patience for your team and for yourself. You realized the game doesn't always need speed. Sometimes it needs presence. At first, the soccer season was a struggle. The play wasn't what you were used to. Slow. There, okay. But instead of pulling away, you leaned in. You didn't just play, you taught. You modeled vision. You brought the possibility of something better. And when that frustration crept in, your friends, especially Paige and Vanessa, reminded you, you're here. Now show us why. And you did. You brought joy back to our fields. Your leadership wasn't in goal score. It was in effort, shared laughter. It echoed across the fields. The confidence was passed on. You became a player. You became a teammate. You became a mentor. You are a sister who thinks of her little brothers every time you walk alone on the dock and the place you loved most here at St. Margaret's. And now you're at the next threshold. Your parents and brothers are hopefully here to watch you graduate, a dream they carried together. This moment is not just yours, it's theirs. What's next? Maybe professional football in Ecuador, maybe college soccer in New York or North Carolina, maybe business, maybe Spain. But wherever you go, Sophia brings more than a resume. You bring character, clarity, and courage. Ask Sophia what she learned at St. Margaret's, and she'll say, how to be alone, how to be patient, how to lead quietly. Sophia, you touched our imaginations with clever skills on the pitch. You will be remembered not just as a player, but as a presence. You played with heart, you led with grace. Now go, dear girl, write the next half.
Okay, so yeah, that's, I'm from Ecuador, so I'm gonna talk in Spanish, so yeah. Bueno, quiero primero agradecerles a mi familia que está aquí presente. Pues completamos ese sueño juntos, me costó, sí, mucho, pero ahora vamos por otro más y pues gracias a ustedes y por ustedes lo voy a hacer. Les amo muchísimo. Thanks.
Thank you for being here. You bet. Carl and I have a little, I wouldn't say inside joke, but this girl never saw an offsides call she never liked. I'd never seen anybody more offsides in soccer in my life until I met you, Carl. And no argument, she just would smile at the rest and say, yeah, okay. All right, anyway. Carla, while we came to know you quickly on the hockey field, it was a night in December, bringing the ball down the court against Essex High School. Your shoulders square, your eyes forward, spirit tight. That we saw Carla in her true element. But the careful eye could see that you weren't just playing basketball. You were playing for something more. You arrived at St. Margaret's in the fall, but your journey began long before. It started with a promise to yourself and to someone you loved. Your first coach, your mentor, your second father. He taught you not just how to play, but he taught you how to believe. He died playing the game you both loved. And every time you lace your shoes, you remember him and you play for him. Raised in Ecuador, surrounded by music and food and family, you first learned the rhythms of bachata. Did I get that right? Okay, yeah, she's giving it to me. Before English, you played on crooked so-called basketball courts with worn-out basketballs, but perfect spirit. That spirit came with you to Virginia, where the food tasted, well, different. And the silence of the newness felt heavier, but you showed up. Your heart was open. I still remember the state championship, you bringing the ball up the court with about a minute left, and you did it all with grace. The road hasn't always been fair. College coaches who took too long to respond. Some still haven't. But you didn't quit, and you're not gonna quit. Email again, call again. You trained harder because you knew what this dream meant and who you were fighting for, your sister, your coach, your country. And you dreamed beyond the game. One day, a little bakery in Italy. You smile when you talk about it. Flower in the air, warmth like home. Carla, wherever your path takes you, on a court or in a kitchen, know this. You carry a fire that doesn't fade. And when you get there, we'll remember how you picked your...
Hi. Well, maybe I'm gonna cry to say this, but how he said before, my coach died, and then everything changed in my life. So basically, I dedicate this to him, to my family, and to my sister. And then she has been an inspiration for me all this time. So I just want to say thank you to her, that I love her so much, and she inspires me every day. I want to say something in Spanish to my parents, so maybe they are watching, I don't know. But yeah. Gracias, papito, gracias, mami. Sé que ha sido un camino muy duro para estar aquí, pero sin su apoyo y sin su dedicación, sin su amor, nada de esto sería posible. Agradezco a mi familia que está en Ecuador por siempre estar ahí, y nada, también a Sofía por ser una clave fundamental para estar aquí, por ser mi mejor amiga, por siempre estar ahí, y que sin ella tampoco esto sería posible. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Max Grace Brown.
So you better show up when we open it, or when you open it. I was telling Max that her name is on... I won't be. Max, I am told by your father that Max means the greatest, and grace means blessing. It's fitting because, Max, you are undoubtedly your parents' greatest blessing. You arrived at St. Margaret's this year not with fanfare, but with a quiet confidence and a deep curiosity about what this place could be. And while your time here has been brief, your impact has been long-lasting. You come from Raleigh, North Carolina, but your story stretches across more than one zip code. You moved often, lived in spaces between Marys. It worked until it didn't. The culture shifted, people left, and so you chose something new. The chance conversation with your mom had with a stranger led you to St. Margaret's. It's funny how life does that. At St. Margaret's, you found something different. A place where you said the people make the place. Where conversations felt real. Where accents were embraced. and where no one had to shrink to fit in. You didn't just step into the rhythm of this place. You brought your own and let others dance to it. You managed teams, played soccer and field hockey, and kept the dorm light, funny, and honest. People laugh with you because they feel safe with you. People come to you when they're struggling because they feel seen by you. That's your gift, your presence. You show up authentically, unapologetically. You've also grown immensely. You've learned to like who you are without bending to fit expectations. If someone doesn't like me, you said, I don't take it to heart anymore. That's straight. That's freedom. Of course, some things have always stayed the same, like your very healthy fear of bugs. I was told that back in elementary school, when a bee landed on your handlebars, you jumped off your bike and ran nearly a mile home, leaving the bike behind. And then dear old Dad shared that when you were selected to study abroad in Australia before the 11th grade, the first thing you did was research how big are the bugs in Australia. You just had to make sure that none were the size of a Cadillac. Next year, you'll head to Spelman College, a place that reflects your values, your heritage, and now you walk that with purpose, drawn to psychology, media, and helping others, reconnection, every midnight laugh in the dorm kitchen. Your favorite quote says it all. To get something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. That's exactly what you did here at St. Margaret's. You started over. You trusted yourself. Max, thank you for showing us how independence and connection can go hand in hand. Among us are those who are brave enough to begin again. We can't wait to see what you do next, and we will be cheering from Tappahannock all the while long. Best of luck.
Hello. I just would like to thank all my family that's here today, that supported me through all 4 years of my high school journey. And I've appreciated this school in the 1 year, and I've learned so much and met so many great people in this senior class. So thank you.
Paula Perillo.
For you, Paula, I'm reminded of St. Margaret's, never even having seen it, not knowing what would greet you behind a dorm room door. Dorm room door. But when Kendall and CC knocked on your door, do you want ice cream? Everything began to change. Kindness, cones, and community. Paula, you shared with me that you formed quick friendships. Vanessa, Jade, Paige, and even when you couldn't catch the speed of conversation, you caught the spirit. Your teammates waited, explained, and welcomed. You gave back by standing tall, not just in class, but your dashes into the paint. You arrived not at all understanding zone defenses, and as a fan of Kentucky basketball, I will share with you, I don't either. But you studied, adjusted, and you rose. Your shot from the corner, pure. From the three, pure. From the foul line, pure. From the foul line, pure. Your presence, steady. Your impact, transformative. You brought joy back to the St. Margaret's Court, and with it, you gave us a belief. When Coach Sneed put it best, when Paula steps on the floor, it's methodical work. No drama, no slack, no question. Off the court, you timed your days, set your study hours, and grew to love pre-calculus and history. You successfully balanced fierce competition with gentle presence. And yes, your favorite memory, like many on the team, was the state championship. Not just for the win, but for what it meant, that St. Margaret's could believe again, Your favorite place, the new dock, because it is there you can jump in. And that's Paula. Feet first, full heart, no fear. You dream now of college, maybe Ohio, maybe Miami. Have we settled yet? Okay. Miami. And a future in engineering or education. You want to stay in the United States, work, give back, and perhaps one day return not as a student, but as a mentor. You dream not just for yourself, but for your family, for the day they'll no longer be separated by such distance. Paula might say she's not special, but we know better. You gave St. Margaret's not just points and passes, but presence, heart, joy, and a new chapter in our story as a school. And I will share with you before I finish this, Paula was the one I looked at, and I said, you come back here, no offense, Coach Sneed, coach and teach. And she said, I can do that. Okay, but anyway, I'm looking for you in 4 years. Buckle up. Okay, Paula, thank you. You've made us the better, and you are just getting started. Best of luck.
So hi everybody. First, I want to say thank you to the school, to the teachers, coaches need, all the basketball staff, to opening me the doors and making me believe that I can make this opportunity true. And then I'm going to say thanks to my parents in Spanish. So yeah. Hola Pa, hola Ma, hola Juli. Pollo, esto no estaría...
Paula Gomez Espadas.
Paula, you arrived from Madrid in the fall of 2023, not with quiet confidence, and then you stayed, you grew, and you made St. Margaret's your own. Coming from a large, fast-paced school in Spain, you weren't sure what a small girls' school in a quiet Virginia town might offer. But here you found something different. Not just a school, but a community that truly saw you for who you are. And once you were seen, you began to shine. On your very first day, you sat in your room and you wondered, what am I doing here? But at that moment, it quickly passed. You reached out. And maybe you remember it was Amina who reached out to you, and from there the sisterhood began to take form around you. And then there was field hockey, a sport you had never played, but there you were. You helped reignite a program many thought was gone forever from St. Margaret's. But your energy, it transformed not unexpected strength. When they step in, when they step up. You brought your world with you, including your quiet or not so quite satisfaction for the Real Madrid soccer, but that's for another story. You left your mark in the pool, on the field, and as someone your coach trusted enough to call you an assistant coach from that pool. You like to say, it's not that deep, but we know better. Beneath that phrase lives somebody thoughtful, someone who reflects, who leads by example, who apologizes when necessary, and who understands the quiet work of and how you organize your life, how you show up for others, and speak with both humor and sincerity. St. Margaret's helped you find your voice, and in turn, you helped us see the world more clearly. Soon you'll return to Spain to study marketing with dreams of working in English and even returning to the United States. But I tell you, wherever you go, you'll carry with you what matters most. You carry connection, character, and care. You once joked that a slogan for you would be vibes. Paula, you didn't just bring vibes, you brought vision to St. Margaret's. We're gonna miss your voice, your spirit, and your strength. You were yours for now, but never goodbye.
Hi
everybody, my family, because they were here. I will say in Spanish. Gracias, mamá, papá y Jorge, por apoyarme en todo y por ayudarme a hacer este sueño realidad. Sin vosotros no hubiese sido lo mismo. Gracias. Thank you.
Tara Vulovich.
Tara, some arrivals are expected in the winter of 2023. It was sudden, it was certain, it was unforgettable. You came mid-year, midweek, mid-practice. By 7:30 p.m. you were on the court. By the next morning you had made your presence known, not with noise, but with force of being. Who's that, I asked. At first our community overwhelmed you. At first our community overwhelmed you. I love this. You said, it felt like an attack. You said, amazed by how many people greeted you in the hallway, coming into your room, saying hello left and right. It startled you, softened you, shaped you. You were placed and you earned it. Tara became the heartbeat of the basketball team. Fierce, focused, exact. But your strength wasn't just in your shot or your hustle, it was in your presence. Your teammates, you held teammates accountable, and you held yourself to a higher standard still. You are not one to seek praise. You wanted proof. Don't tell me I'm doing well, you said. By the river, thinking of your mother, you carry the memory of a dear grandfather, the quiet strength of the life in Belgrade, and the balance of school, ambition, and heart. So you're headed to St. Thomas Aquinas College in New York on a full scholarship to study medicine, cardiology, not because it sounds impressive, because it matters. It was your mother's journey that shaped your mission. You want to be the one making the call in your life, saving the heart, because you know what it means to wait for answers. You taught us that winning matters, but not all victories are visible. Sometimes the win is staying in the game, choosing the hard road, taking the risk. Tara, you showed us that strength and softness can live in the same soul, that leadership doesn't require a title, and that personally, but we will be watching, oh, we will be watching, and always, Tara, always believing in you.
Hello everyone. I'll just try keeping it short so I don't cry. But I just want to thank my parents. So, Ludići, hvala vam na svemu. Vidimo se uskoro, mnogo mi nedostajete i volim vas.
Paige Prendergast.
Just as a footnote, as I'm watching the diplomas being handed out, these are the original diplomas that we had back in the 1920s and 30s, just FYI. Because we thought these little things with little openings weren't impressive enough. You work for that, and you frame it, doggone it. Okay, Paige. It's not often that someone arrives with both poise and purpose already woven into her steps, but for you, you did. It was clear from the moment you arrived that you weren't just stepping onto campus, You too were building something inward, something lasting. You came to St. Margaret's in the fall of 2023 from the Cayman Islands. Love the Cayman Islands. Not just to play basketball, but to shape a life rooted in faith, discipline, and design. You chose this place not for flash or perfection, but for honesty. You founded a school where the sisterhood is real, where grace is given, and where your purpose could take root. There's a calm confidence in you, Paige, a groundedness. You say you came to play basketball, but it was in the classrooms and the chapel that you found a deeper calling. You want to study business management and design, not just from textbooks, but as legacy. Your mother in public service, your father building with his hands, together they built you. St. Margaret's your cornerstone. In a quiet dorm room, flipping through your pink Bible, you heard not a rule, but a voice. Read it again. And so you read and listened and learned. Your faith isn't rigid. Your faith is real. And you live it, not loudly, but consistently. And your friendships, your leadership, your grace, ask what you'll remember most and you'll say the night in A House during the COVID quarantine. Pizza, cards, no phones, just laughter and real connection. Ask who inspires you and you'll name Vanessa, your god sister, and Helene. There you are, standing in the light of Christ. Paige, your gift is surrounding yourself with the good and giving it back in equal measure. When you were offered the role of prefect last year, you asked, rather, I want to pursue the elected office of president of the Student Government Association, begging off the prefect appointment. You wanted to earn your leadership from the sisterhood, not one to be called into it. That's great, that's grand, that's Paige. And as a student government president, you did just that. You led alongside others to strengthen this sisterhood from the inside out. Now, Southeastern University in Florida awaits, a place full of warmth, light, and possibility. There you'll study design and maybe one day build guest homes in the Grand Cayman. Not just beautiful spaces, you said, but havens that feel like joy. Paige, your strength is your stillness. Your pride is your people. Your joy is your journey. You've made this work.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm just gonna say something since, it's my first time speaking at a graduation and I want to give you guys thanks. First, I would like to give thanks to God, all thanks to Him, but I also want to give thanks to everybody here, my family, my parents, including the Hamiltons. I know they're in the back. And so, Mom, Dad, thank you so much. Two different sets of, talents combined to make one very talented girl. So, thank you. And I also want to give thanks to St. Margaret's community for building my leadership and for building my creativity and my patience. I want to thank the student body for making it easy to love and appreciate every single one of you, for making it easy to want to try and give you guys the most happiness you can experience at the school.
Anushka Boshak.
I knew this was going to happen. Anushka, some students arrive with a plan, others with a possibility, and for you, you arrived with a question. What if I did something extraordinary, you said? That question, sparked by an Instagram ad and a family friend, launched your journey from India to a small school by the river in Tappahannock, Virginia. Not for sports, not for legacy, just for the bold idea it was. Anushka, you didn't come with certain, often confused you, but you didn't give up. You spoke even when the grammar pushed back. And over time, you found not just fluency, but you found a voice. It was in the CTC that I first crossed paths with you, and you spoke of learning how to swim. And now, a few years later, I shall admit, beyond the earshot of her parents, who weren't around, adamant they were that you stay out of the water, away from the water, but there we soon found you. Only days later in the pool with Miss Krupa, doing the extraordinary, learning in the pool. It was then envisioned a community of girls. It was then seeing you in that pool, doing what you were doing, that I envisioned a community of girls at St. Margaret's, giving lessons to all of Essex County third graders, so that the children of this river community not fear the river, but enjoy it. That, my dear girl, will be your legacy if St. Margaret's has its way. And we found you in the early hours in a cruise shell, over several seasons now on the water. As found, a little wet, but unharmed. And let's pile on, you also joined the softball team on a whim, and you stayed. It became your game. You moved from outfield to infield, learned to hit, and played with heart. A team that did not win a single game this season won several, and this is as it should be. You declared to me, the softball team, they're my girls. And as you followed, I'll protect them always. You built family in the dorms and the dugouts, connected across classes. You mentored by the class, you said, of 2023. You bonded with the class of 2024, and you became a big sister to the class of 2000. Ask Anushka what she's most proud of. It's not grades or awards. It's becoming independent. Learning not to question herself. Letting go of the need to be perfect. Father, perhaps not so much, but we can't blame him. He wanted you close to home, out of the water. But your mother paved the way for Anushka to grow and for Anushka to become. And in the quiet moments, Anushka thinks of her mother, her strength, her faith, the choice her mother made all: volleyball, tennis, crew, guitar. You floated in the river. You even floated across the entire river. And while you still don't entirely love English class, you love the stories. Dream more. And such are our wants for every student at St. Margaret's. Do more. Next year, you're exploring Sapienza University in Rome? No? Possibly, okay, in Rome. Hired to study political science and work in international relations. Good luck with that in this day and age. You save us from ourselves, okay? You want to sit at a table at the UN, not as a guest, but as a doer. You want to be in the water of life. Ask what you learned, and you said, just do it. Don't be scared. Try something new, and never change who you are. And yet, don't quit. Commit to the decisions you make. Anushka, you and many in this school stand forthrightly in a generation of students whose outlook is to swipe, to quit, before the full story unfolds. Incomplete experiences riddled with incomplete thoughts, empty and devoid of what forges true integrity and true multitude, sisters and brothers. Then there's Anushka, who showed us that risk isn't recklessness, it's readiness. But the quiet girl with a big question can, in the end, say, you did. That's it.
And who I am, and honestly, I would not change a single thing about here or anything about myself. I just love you all. Thank you.
Vera Suprian.
Vera, your journey didn't begin with a school tour. It began with a war. You were living in what you called the best life, a teenager in a small Ukrainian city near a centuries-old fortress. You danced, you studied, you lived. At first you thought it was a joke, a hushed silence, and then the rolling thunder of exploding missiles enveloped your country, your childhood world. The world for tens of thousands, Ukrainians, began to evaporate in clouds of dust sweeping across the ancient steppes and the Dnieper lowlands. You fled with your mother, your aunt, and your cousin. 4 people, 1 backpack. You crossed the ancient paths of Eastern Europe and Central Europe into Romania, then Hungary, then Italy, then Spain, chasing safety, never stopping, never still, never really safe. But it was in Spain that life began to feel steady again. A school, a friend, a routine. But the war didn't stop. And your mother, with work connections in Miami, knew it was time for another step, and another bold step, another ocean. You came to St. Margaret's not by choice, but by necessity. You had only just begun healing when you had to start all over again. And yet you did, with grace, with grit, with a quiet strength that never demanded attention, but earned deep respect. And let the audience know that Vera doesn't tell her story for drama. She tells it to connect, to help understand what it means to leave not just your country, but parts of yourself left behind, and then to try to slowly gather them back in your life. You brought to Tappahannock more than courage, you brought curiosity. Margaret's story, watching you running around the hockey field with a stick in hand, I will tell you was inspiring to me. Seeing you and thinking of what you left behind and how this sisterhood found you here. And on those fields, I always saw a kind of ballet dancer with a stick of dynamite. Determined she was and fearless. Yes, you played field hockey. You managed classmates and some of these faculty members, and particularly this head of school, to tears. You found peace in the early mornings on the dock. And the faculty members who would see you there watching a sunrise, knowing that that same sun that was rising over the Rappahannock was the same sun that was setting on your childhood home in Ukraine. You shared with me that that was something you hadn't let yourself feel in those first years here. For you were too focused on catching up and just trying to stay afloat. And on this river you found true friends, Paige, Vanessa, and others who brought joy back into your life, silly games, and carry the weight of homesickness and reminded you that joy too can be spontaneous. That's the Cayman effect that envelops this sisterhood, forestalling the American citizen that infects us. Turn off the phones, get in the boat. So it is no surprise that the hot sun and the happy spirits draw you to Miami-Dade College, where you will be entering their honors program. Closer to your mother, closer to opportunity, closer to the future you're determined to shape by yourself. One built on resilience, one built on global understanding, and the fierce love that you got here at St. Mark. You crossed continents courageously. Now I ask you, go and claim the world with a grace that embraces us all in one single name, Vera.
Thank the school for being my safe place during my hard times, and for bringing me all these amazing people who brought me and influenced me to be closer to God. And of course, I would like to thank him so much. And I want to say it in my own language, in Ukrainian. Дякую тобі, мамуся, за все, що ти зробила, за цю можливість, яку ти мені дала, що це все було гарно. І я тобі безмежно вдячна. Я тебе дуже сильно люблю. Дякую. Thank you.
Ring the bell. Nice and hard.
Vanessa Antoinette Hamilton.
Vanessa, the poor girl has been with me in U.S. history this year, and I kept calling her Vanessa, and it was only when we were in New York she finally said, my name is Vanessa. So if I stumble here, forgive me, but she'll let you know. Vanessa, you walked onto this campus in the fall of 2023 with quiet resistance, a suitcase of dreams, a cautious heart, and a plan that didn't, let's admit it, include St. Margaret's. And then you heard, what did you say? Tappahannock, Virginia? A family tightly knit, a faith tradition you feared might not translate. Your visit here was meant to be just with, so yeah. If you notice, a lot of the girls, when they finish talking, sometimes they'll say, yeah, so yeah. Anyway, I think it's adorable. But anyway, that's what you brought to the school. But something in that visit to St. Margaret's shifted under that Virginia night. So, almost by accident, we call it providence in the hand of God, you said yes to St. Margaret's. You came unsure of the place, of the people, of what it meant to grow without losing yourself. You might lose your faith. But what you discovered is that real faith doesn't vanish, it deepens. And for you, it deepened. Your journey was not instant. It came in layers. Blue and gray day felt strange and unfamiliar. Some days, joy felt way out of reach. But you stayed, and you built something. And yes, life is not swiping. Life is shouldering in. And doing the work and committing to nothing other than yourself and your sisters. In short order, you became a prefect, winning the confidence of the former prefects and your classmates. A leader, but more than that, you're a listener. You could sit with a freshman, draw out the truth, and help them feel seen. You led not with volume, but with presence. And this audience has heard that again and again in the preceding biographies of this glorious day. And there were hard days, when homesickness hit hard, when the weight of expectation felt too heavy. But there were bright ones too, karaoke in Latiny, long talks with Paige. You found a home in Dean Rock. It became more than scenery, it became a metaphor. This year you were baptized, not out of obligation, but relationship. Your spiritual center is now part of your story, not separate from it. Ask you what you're taking from St. Margaret's and you'll say, myself. Your full, complex, grounded self. You've learned that being patient isn't being passive, that leadership is never finished, and that gratitude is its own kind of calling. You're headed to Barry University in Florida to join 9,000 other students, not to start something new, but to continue the journey you began here. And we have no doubt you'll keep leading, not for applause, but for meaning. As the campus will soon grow quiet, and the last Sunday trips to the airport depart, those of us left behind who admired your incredible spirit, unquenchable curiosity, hardened integrity, and that phenomenal smile. Nissa, you arrived unsure, but you leave unforgettable. Thank you for walking this path with us. You blessed us beyond measure. Now go and carry that light and smile forward.
Okay, so I didn't expect all the waterworks to come, but they're probably gonna come more. I want to start off by thanking my family. I know it was hard spending like year boom away, and me to come here and be away from home was very hard. But I want to thank you guys for supporting me in everything that I do, even though I don't really know, like, it's
Kalsoon Siddiqui.
Please don't roast me. Anyway. Have I roasted anybody? Okay. Kalsoon, some stories are told, yours is carried. Etched in memory, formed in sacrifice, born in hope. You didn't arrive at St. Margaret's after a journey few can fathom. Sleepless on the floors of a Pakistan border crossing, your path forged through embassies, transit lounges, and whispered prayers. When I first met you, you were pulling your suitcase up the steps of Latany, and you simply said, "I'm new." Indeed, but not unknown. Your story began in Kabul, Afghanistan, under threat and under unimaginable duress as the Taliban swept in not only your city, not only your neighborhood, but into your home. And at that moment, your mother made a courageous and fateful decision for you. As much as her wants were to see you grow into wondrous adulthood, your life, she decided, would be your own. And it changed your life in unimaginable ways. To send you away for freedom's sake, for your sake, not her own. It's a profound act of love. And yet you walked on into Virginia, into dorm rooms, and fire alarms, and a bomb threat in your first week as you arrived at St. Margaret's, when over 2,000 schools were part of a robocall saying there's bombs in the school. We've never had that. And here you arrived to this. Escaping the Taliban and winding up in Tappahannock, you wondered, what have I come to? But you didn't stop. You joined, you listened, and then you led. We saw not just a student, but we saw a force of nature. You played soccer with grit. I remember. They told me before you arrived, now look, these Afghan girls are timid of men. Tap them not on the shoulder as you normally do, Belle, as it would affront them for any physical contact with a man. So I kept my distance, kept until spring, when you joined me to kick off the resurrection of the soccer program with our little club of 8 girls. Remember that? Along with this aging head of school. And we played our first small scrimmage, and I will say was skillfully moving the ball around the field, passing here, passing there, receiving, collecting, when suddenly a shoulder charge knocked me to the ground, and then going the other way was this one with the ball, laughing all the way. No physical contact. Okay. Yeah, not looking back, like in the airport, except for that smile. It was an assault on the field of play that I now cherish for the rest of my life. And then came last week. You, Vanessa, and Helene dashed off from me in D.C. on our field trip. You got lost on Pennsylvania Avenue. And for some reason, it did not help that as I stood at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue at Via, telling you to come to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we're anchored here, you and your troika advanced to 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1800 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1900 Pennsylvania Avenue. eluded all of them that the fact that you were moving away from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the wrong direction. It would take 20 minutes for these three amigos to figure out this. All the while I'm thinking, how in the world did you get out of Afghanistan? And so, Calcium, Williamsburg, I will share with you, is that way, downriver. And so you played volleyball as a libero, smack in the middle of the action. There you are. You managed basketball with joy and became a presence in one of the hearts of this community. You made friends with wisdom and care, and no longer worked to be accepted. You were accepted because you were true. Your friends, Jade, Paige, Vera, Vanessa, Max, will remember you, your fierce loyalty, your late night talks, and the deep laughter you all shared. You made your home in the collaboration room. The river town became your new village. And still within you, there's the Afghan orchard, apricot trees, cousins laughing on Friday afternoons in Kabul. That memory remains yours, and so does that vision. You've been brave enough to speak the truth, to call out injustice, critique the world not in cynicism, but in hope. You dreamed of being an ambassador. Now you dream of being effective, and I will tell you, you already are. William and Mary awaits not just its next student, but its next visionary. Expecting 100% on 10% effort. And so to resist the changes that come your way, instead, let life live through you. Life has lived through you, Kalsum. Now go, live that life with reverence, with pride, and with love. We send you forward.
Who are watching me right now from Afghanistan. تشکر بسیار زیاد از کمکت، از تشویقی که برای من کردین، از پشت سر من، از خاطر دعاهای مادرم است که من امروز اینجا استادیم. I just want to thank my mom for believing in me, and I just want to tell her that I did it, and I did it in the best way possible. And also, lastly, I just want to say happy birthday to Mr. Bell. And we should all welcome him to Medicaid.
That's my history student. You go, girl. Change that grade to an A now. Yeah.
Adana Daru.
Last but not least, at all. Adana, you and I arrived on this campus in the same year, 4 years ago. And here we stand, we made it together. At that time, we were a COVID-ravaged school, complete with fragmentation within this very community that was becoming inherent across the United States. And yet, here you arrived, our Nigerian Jersey girl, whose mentors were helping us all heal this community, bring the school forward, and credited one's character with experiences, and be they physical experiences at that. Put down the phone, get in the water, drive a boat, fish, gut it, eat it. In the person of Adana, you were one of the first to speak when others hesitated, always ready to start a conversation, even when the words weren't fully formed. And that's a fitting beginning for a young woman who has often been the first to step up, the first to break the silence, and the first to carry a spirit into a room that others wanted to follow. That was the constant when you and I shared a religion class. Moving across this river on that pontoon boat out there, we read Exodus together. And in 2021, your beginning here was framed not by your first class or first dorm meeting, but by a loss. Just as preseason wrapped up, you lost your grandfather, your mother's father, a man whom you adored. That was your first experience with loneliness here, not just of being new, but of carrying a loss without a place to set it down. Yet that grandfather, more than a man, was a teacher. He was a headmaster. He was a teller of parables. He co-authored You Can Either Sink or Swim, You Can Either Swim or Sink. And it's a fitting title for this river school. Miss Monday, we might have to read this for professional development. It's a book you still read when you need his voice to remind you that you were made for a purpose. You were raised in that purpose, to forgive when hurt, to stand when weary, and to keep going when it's easier to give up. As much as St. Margaret's might like to take credit, this is the legacy of your family that runs deep. Igbo? Your Igbo heritage from Nigeria to your father's arrival in the United States in the 1990s has hardwired you. You return to Nigeria when you can, not to escape, but to root yourself. There, the food is more honest, the traditions more sacred, and even the air, as you told me, seems to remember your name. You spoke of sitting among men, not as a disruption of culture, but as an extension of mindset. And they recognize your strength, even if they do not have a word for it. Here at St. Margaret's, you found your rhythm on the volleyball court, soccer field, basketball team, and even strength and conditioning. And let's throw in there a back surgery, smack dab in the middle of your high school career too. You became part of the beat of this place, the one who could start the fun, spark the light. I think it's fair to add, you became the backbone of this sisterhood. But you also weathered the wear of these years. You spoke candidly of the rotating dynamics, how each year brought new friendships and new farewells. There was friction, but there was growth. And you learned how to reflect, how to consider the other side, and how to speak only after thinking. You learned that sometimes the greatest power is in restraint, and the deepest maturity is in forgiveness. Strength never center stage, but always steady backstage. You modeled that too, becoming a steady voice others trusted, a shoulder offered without needing applause. And now your next step leads you to Notre Dame of Maryland, 2 hours away from the familiar, but a world away from where you started. You'll study nursing with dreams of labor and delivery neonatal care. As you shared with me, you've always been a baby who loved babies. That's how your family tells it. Tiny arms already reaching out to others, to hold them before you could walk yourself. Adana, you carry with you something too rare, the ability to reflect without regret, to act with conviction without arrogance, and to speak with warmth, even in hard truths. You're not afraid to live between worlds, between Nigeria and New Jersey, tradition and change, grief and grace. If your life were a brand, you said your slogan would be, the early bird gets the worm. But I think it might just as well be, she sits with men, but speaks for women. She dances in her strength. In your final year, you stood with distinction, binding this community together as head prefect. With a steady hand and an even-keeled demeanor, you helped navigate the waters of both challenge and celebration. And in doing so, you gave this sisterhood safe harbor, anchoring us all here at the close of our 102nd Commencement. Soon the car will be packed, the doors will close, and you'll head north along the I-95 corridor. But that one door gently closes behind you, many more will open ahead. And as you step through them, you will do so as you've done here. You will lead with grace, you will build with care, carry the strength of this place wherever you go. Go behind you, not in longing, but in affirmation. You were here, you mattered, you made it. God bless you, Adana. We'll see you back here soon. Just don't let us miss your dance.
Hi, everyone. First, I would like to say thank you to all those who invested in my hair business. Big shout out to the Roberts family, but that was a really big help. And especially to Paula, because sometimes she would help me separate the hair and it would just be, And then I would like to say a big thank you to Jade and Deborah. Okay. And also, I'd like to, Daddy, stop laughing. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone in the sisterhood. And I'd like to also shout out the 2021 people like Coach Tina taking the picture, Mr. Bruner, Mr. Lloyd, even Mr. Bell himself, because it's not easy. And I'd also like to give a final thanks to my family, my mom, my dad, Azalea, Chizzy, Ikenna, Uchenna, because without your words of encouragement, I don't think I would be standing here 4 years later. So every GC kid that my mom gives me, I really appreciate, and I wish all of us in the senior class more degrees. And Igbo language, we say Ise in agreement. So as you guys go to college, be focused, and everyone of you guys be focused as well. And Chizzy, you can say Ise with me, so Ise, thank you.
Grew to trust and love her quickly, having been impacted by her gentle manner, sincerely kind approach, and respectful probing. As her earliest students, we realized her love for her subject and were delighted with our first true taste of Southern writers and real scholarship, a taste that I took up on and which influenced my choice to become an English major in college. Coming back to St. Margaret's decades later and hearing Miss Spears speak to the girls, I realized how she herself had grown over the years as a scholar and matured as a first-class lecturer. To hear her is to appreciate great thinking and writing, and to love how language can display a curious and poetic heart. How fortunate we St. Margaret's girls have been to have her in our lives. She began her development as Dean of Residence Life and progressed towards through English teacher to English department chair to Dean of Faculty. Along the way, she sponsored classes, the school yearbook, literary magazine, and newspaper. In her 48-year service, she received prestigious teaching awards and has been recognized by Who's Who of American High School Teachers, the National Council of Teachers of English, and the National Association of Scholars. She's a Georgia Bulldogs superfan and is also a St. John's volunteer. But let's not forget the complete immersion in school life that comes with the commitment Shannon made at St. Margaret's. She was in the dorms with the girls, facilitating activities and chaperoning for dances and off-campus trips and concerts. In fact, Miss Spears has continued her deep connection with the school by helping with organizing St. Margaret's archives, appealing to alumni and donors, and mentoring new folks on campus. We're also thrilled that she and Louise have renovated. So today is our special day to thank you for your dedication to us, Ms. Shannon Spears. And so I am privileged to deliver our demonstration of gratitude to you. Shannon Spears, in honor of your lifetime service and commitment to St. Margaret's School, the head of school and board of governors award to you today the honorary diploma, making you an alumna of St. Margaret's School class of 2025. Congratulations to you, Shannon.
Now, before I announce the class, it's a great pleasure that I now invite the Dean of Academics, Miss Mundy, to introduce the final voice of instruction for the class of 2025.
It is my honor to introduce today's speaker. I remember meeting him in the CTC while I was considering joining in the St. Margaret's team. My first thought was that he had a teaching voice. Over this year, I have learned that his voice has more than volume. It has wisdom, knowledge, and wit. He shared with anyone who would listen. He teaches students how to think, a goal at St. Margaret's. He knows our movie clip that none of us know. He has sat in my office, challenged me with hard questions, and inspired many of us to raise the standard. When the conversation ended, he would just get up and leave with, "That's all." When not in the classroom, you can usually find him on the water. As the crew coach, his desire to encourage the sisterhood to try new and sometimes hard things continues in the crew show. Mr. Troy Howe, please come share your next words of wisdom with all of us in the charge for the class of 2025.
Mrs. Mundy, Dr. Crowther, Mr. and Mrs. Bell, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, and most of all, this year's graduates. I had this thing all written on Wednesday evening, tied up in a bow, ready to present. On Thursday morning, I woke up and realized that what I had written simply would not do. It just wasn't good enough, and a little revision was not going to fix it. I'd have to start over. The 11th grade me would have rationalized that it was pretty good and that it'd have to be good enough. And anyway, I'd already invested a lot of time and effort, so here it is. But this is not the time for a lesson on the sunk cost fallacy. It's just important to get it right and to do everything you can to be worthy of the occasion. I remember getting out of the car last February on the day that Mrs. Howell and I first saw St. Margaret's. We saw the sign, then the maples and the cottage, and finally St. Margaret's Hall. And the first complete thought I had was, there's something really special about this place. Something powerful, something perfect, something most schools simply do not have. Oh, come on, Mr. Howell, open your eyes. The buildings are old, the campus is tiny, the faculty isn't always fair, and sometimes the students aren't that nice to each other. Tappahannock has more gas stations than churches. There's not even a Chipotle. All true, all irrelevant, because all of those things pale in the shadow of the central tenet of this place. As we grow in age, may we grow in grace. There was a moment last fall when I was up on my soapbox rhapsodizing about the greatness of St. Margaret's and how blessed and fortunate we all are to be here. When I had finished, or maybe a little before that, a student called me out for it. "Oh my God, Mr. Howell, you overhyped this school so much." I respectfully disagree with that assessment. If anything, I underhyped this school so much. I think too many of us do, and that when that happens, it represents a momentary absence of grace. How can you overhype sunrise over the Rappahannock River every day? How can you overhype a school where the headmaster and director of development live and hold functions in a home that dates to before the American Revolution? How can you overhype a sisterhood's 104-year commitment to growing in grace? We should never underestimate the genuinely noble heart of this institution. And immediately, I feel abashed to call St. Margaret's an institution, but I'm at a loss to find another name for it that doesn't sound insufferably saccharine or unbearably trite. I've spent the better part of a year thinking about what grace is and asking myself how to describe it. And I still find that I am inadequate to that task. I am reasonably sure of a couple of things, though. First, that selfishness, cynicism, ego, and entitlement are enemies of grace. It may be that grace is all around us all the time, and that we cannot begin to realize that until we humble ourselves enough to wonder if we are worthy of the many blessings that have come our way. And even that is only an intermediate step. Any good theologian can tell you that grace cannot be earned. So anything we accept as our due, even with gratitude, that's not grace. The other element of which I am reasonably certain is that grace is not easy, at least not for us. If it's easy, you're probably mistaking something else for grace. Grace is easy for God. It's not for us, even if we are made in God's image. Some of you may already feel that you have grown in grace a great deal during your time at St. Margaret's. Some of you may think you have not. There may even be a few of you who think that may we grow in grace is just some pretty words that we say in chapel twice a week and inscribe everywhere we can think of. And wherever you are with it, that's okay. I'm not looking to shame anyone or be the thought police. That being said, I'm quite certain that may we grow in grace is not just pretty words. Rather, it is a truth that is at the core of what this school community represents and what it offers to you and to all of us. It was established by those who came before any of us, even Mr. Lloyd. And it is up to each successive sisterhood to perpetuate it. Do not be surprised if months, years, or decades from now, the magnitude of this gift hits you with unnerving intensity. The spirit of St. Margaret's is a real thing. It lives and breathes in you, and to borrow a phrase from Lincoln, in the better angels of your nature. It will follow you wherever you go. What you do with it, how or whether you share it, is up to you. Long live St. Margaret's. Long live its graduates. With love, appreciation, and gratitude, we salute the class of 2025 on this blessed day of grace.
Are you ready? My prefects, are we ready? Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2025. Please stand.
The school prayer, and says, "It is of our deep mercy, your gracious Father, that on other days in His we here dedicate both our souls and our bodies to Thee in a sober, righteous, and godly life, in the weeks of affliction. Thou, merciful God, confirm and strengthen us, that as we grow in age, we may grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." Before the benediction, there is a beautiful text in the Gospel of, and this text talks about one morning after Simon Peter, James, and John had toiled all night and caught nothing, there was no fish. Jesus comes to them and invites them to go out and cast their nets in the deep. They do so, and they catch many, many fish. There were about 153. Years ago, each of you here, the graduates, accepted an invitation to put out in the deep waters. In your chosen field or classes, you chose to explore deeper waters in search of more knowledge, sharper skills, deeper understanding. I believe that here at St. Margaret's, we understand this as an encounter with the divine in the depth. We see God in all things. Your explorations necessarily showed you as a facet of God's love for His creation, and your relationship deepened as a result. Thus, our celebration today represents the culmination of your years-long prayer, this throughout all your labors. Now I invite you to bow your heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, creator of all that is, bless and approve our offering here today, the diplomas that your daughters have earned, physical and spiritual labors. In the days, months, and years ahead, grant that they may come to know more clearly the purpose of their labors, their learning, their diplomas will play in their divine plan. Bless their lives from this day on with goodness and success. Enable them to stay true to their dream, good and just, and to use their gifts wisely and in service to others. Empower them to walk into the future with faith, hope, and great love, guided by your light, so that they may use their talents in the words of St. Augustine Loyola, go forth and set the world on fire. We ask and congratulations.
Rejoicing, God
for the banner? The oh, there it is.